In 1996, 1976, when I got into my first band, completely, like I said early on, unprepared, never planned on anything like that. 3 guys 10 years older than me, never found out why it was they looked at me. I mean, I was basically walking down the streets with a guitar in my hand. That did not mean that I could play the guitar, that I was a guitar player, or even a musician. But the shark saw there was somebody swimming in the water, and before I knew it, I was in their house. They were 10 years older than me, already established musicians, stuff like that. And they were looking for something different to front the band. And I was sometimes wondering, was it just because I was good looking? Oh. Anyway, they're never giving me the true answer. And I'm always wondering, because they just kind of maybe I shouldn't have the true answer. Maybe it completely ruined my whole life. But shortly after the band had gotten the song, that we actually had a live set, we got a phone call from a promoter in Copenhagen. Says, we need a support band tonight. There's a big band world premiere in Copenhagen tonight. We drive in there, and then it says on the marquee, blinking lights, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. This is 1976, a historical time for rock and roll. This is Blackmore had just finished Deep Purple and started this new band, so it was still very fresh. And I remember sitting in the front row watching the sound check, and it was louder than anything I had ever heard. He was so loud on the guitar, and of course, I've been through both the 80s and the 90s. It just looked like we were playing loud. We weren't playing loud, but that was loud. But even though he was so loud, my eyes and ears were still focused on the man with the microphone, barely 5 feet tall, tiny little person. But what came out of this man's mouth and lungs was unbelievable. His name was Ronnie James Dio. Fantastic. One of the greatest rock and roll singers of all times. And after that sound check, I whispered into one of the guys. I couldn't remember which guys it was. I said, there's no way we're going to get up on stage after this. Because like I said early on, again, we were much closer to the Bay City Rollers than we were to Rainbow. And they would have lynched us, and I would probably have been ruined for life. Sort of similar to Macaulay Culkin or something like that. I would never get up on stage again, things like that. So thank God we came up with a lame-ass excuse of an ingrown toenail or something stuck in a zip or whatever. We were not unable to perform. But I remember sitting and watching the concert, and that night I became a devoted, dedicated Ronnie James Dio follower through his entire career, and it was a fantastic journey. I jumped 17 years to 1993. It's a lot of years I have to keep track of here. It's almost like I'm on Jeopardy or something like that. But it's my career. In 1993, my band, after a white line called Freak of Nature, we got invited to tour with Ronnie James Dio in Germany. Big country at that time for rock and roll, one of the last stand for hard rock. And the thing is, compared to touring with the AC/DC and Kiss and Aerosmith in America and that big buffet of backstage parties and stuff like that, Germany was 99% guys in death metal t-shirts, long hair and scary looking with the arms folded like this and going up and said, we're not going to unfold them. We're scary looking fans. Fuck you. And we were out there on stage and so we had a lot of time backstage with Ronnie to really sit and talk, because we couldn't find a woman for miles and stuff like that. It didn't exist there. Definitely not in hard rock. So we had a lot of time to sit there and sip tea, coffee, and cakes and talk about rock and roll and dragons and ghosts and magical things. And this is one of those moments when you get given a gift that you hadn't prepared yourself for. So it was fantastic. So it just really once again embedded that, Ronnie had become not just our hero, but also a friend that was guiding us through the next step. On the final night, which happens in most cases when you tour with a band, and it's happened on every tour we've been on, the headliner plays a prank on you. And sometimes it can be funny, and sometimes it can be damaging, you know. And his road crew completely demolished us. So by the third song, we only had a hi-hat left, and looking at each other says, are we going to complete the set? And everybody says, no, it's probably not a good idea. So 10 minutes later, we're sitting in the dressing room wondering, how can we repay this favor? How can we repay this favor so he doesn't forget that we were also on tour with him? And we, of course, instantly, because I have toured with the greatest of the big bands, and there's some ugly things that have gone down and stuff like that. Sometimes I look out at the audience who don't have a fucking clue what's going on. Why are they doing this? Stuff like that. So we knew we could not go up and dump pig's blood over Ronnie James Dio or macaroni salad or pull his pants down or something like that. That's a no-go for the Holy Diver. We don't do stuff like that. There's a lot of other bands that would like to do that too, but not him. So they were sitting there and said, you know what? His lyrics were very magical, sort of like Games of Thrones, a couple levels up and things like that, without the nudity. Okay, forget that. That's not in Ronnie's songs. I said, this is what we need. And he had one song called Jesus, Mary, and the Holy Ghost. And when Ronnie writes this kind of song, that's exactly what it's about. There's no misunderstanding. It's not like a metaphor for hanging out on Sunset Strip with Slash or something like that. This is exactly what it is. He says, you know what? Here's a brilliant idea. We need classic Easter parade. It's the kind of thing you run into in a shopping mall around Easter. The whole thing, you know, the crib and Jesus and stuff like this. This is what we need. And they go, but it's Sunday, and we're in Germany, and I'm sure there's no custom stores around here. I says, yes, but I'm a fan of MacGyver and the A-Team, and I've seen Mr. T build a Black Hawk helicopter out of a lawnmower, a tent, and 3 rows of gaffer tape. So we got to be able to somehow create this thing for it, you know? And we did. 3 locker room benches can instantly get turned into an 18 by 12 cross until you try to get it out the door and then have to disassemble it and then put it together again. And you know, the guys bit by bit, some imagination, and then you can look like a Roman. And you know, all it takes is for the singer to pull a towel up his ass and gaffer tape it 3 times because he doesn't trust his band members. And then you can convince the Germans that, yes, you are the Lord Christ. It's one of those things, the magical things. So now we're ready. We're ready to deliver our little gift to the great Ronnie James Dio. But I'm just going to hold it for a second here, because back then, as I stood for every single night watching this killer performer of a singer, there was a rumor going around that this man had never sung a bad note in his life. Not one bad note. And I believe that as I stood there and watching, I said, holy shit, it doesn't matter what he does, it is just pure performance. I said, wow. And back then, of course, we didn't have Google, we didn't have Yahoo. I'm just going to check it, you know, stuff like that. We didn't have that. But the story came back to me a year or 2 years ago when I was sitting somewhere in a lonely motel room running out of, they only need 1 tea bag and 2 sugars, and that ain't going to cut it for a long time. I said, I'm going to search. Ronnie James Dio sings a bad note. Search. And up pops about 20 different video clips of Paul Stanley singing Love Gun. And I go, oh my God. This is not what I asked for, but this is what I got. I says, I better search again. This time I did lowercase, because you know they're sensitive, these things, especially if you're from a Mac world and it goes into a PC kind of thing. I says, lowercase, Ronnie James Dio sings a bad note. And now my career starts popping up. It says, oh, I didn't want to be reminded about this again. I've had a few bad ones here and there, but I didn't know anybody was filming it. They said you can't be sure. So without any further delay, not just am I a little bit ashamed and definitely not proud of it, but I was not just there the night that the great Ronnie James Dio sang his only bad note. I also happened to be the reason and the one who caused it.
I know. Because
as he started going into the song, boom, 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 giving the devil horn to all the Germans, and I go to that. Devil horns, more devil horns. We're entering from the stage. So. And the first thing, this gigantic cross is just taking the head off the bass player. Ronnie still doesn't see it. And then he fills those little lungs with magic air, because that's what he's breathing. It cannot be real. And as he gets into the microphone, suddenly his eyes gets distracted and he sees this thing and he goes, "Whoa!" And I'm over there with the cross, I freeze, like, is that good or bad? and I hear the guy behind me, "Let's run!" Threw down this fucking big cross and stuff like that. We ran to the hotel bar and sat there drinking for the next 2 hours. And Ronnie comes in with the band and the crew. Devil horns again. And then he starts smiling. He says, "This was the funniest thing that I have ever fucking seen." And we started all drinking again. Very good time. But 5 years ago, when we lost one of the greatest, if not the greatest, powerhouse rock and roll singer, this man meant so much to me, even though I don't sound anything like it. I've never copied his songs, never done anything, but his inspiration of being a true rock and roller and living up to everything he said. I says, man, I want to write a song about this man's life, not just a tribute, but something about this man. So this is called Hymn for Ronnie. On a misty May morning, somewhere in LA, a man on a silver mountain faded away. Angels had come when most expected beast. A new journey begun. Ronnie, rest in peace. And thousands came to honor all the earth that became a king. Protest on the sidewalk inside, good friends would sing. Ride away on your rainbow through the gates of Babylon. Heaven and hell, they know you well, yes they do. Sing us a song, you're the singer, all your voice will live on. Oh, you might be the last in line, but you will always shine. You said long live rock and roll, and from that day on the path was laid. We sold our soul, the price we proudly paid. You knew the mongrels led by neon lights. All you raced as well, and we'd all saw your rock and roll children. With dragons by your side, oh, you sat on your throne, commanding us all to stand up and shout, 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 shout. Ride away on your rainbow through the gates of Babylon. Heaven and hell, told you to go. Oh, didn't you know we follow you wherever you put on a show? You gave new life to Black Sabbath. I was a sign on the Southern Cross. Never again will children be lost to the sea. So ride away on your rainbow through the gates of Babylon. Heaven and hell, they know you well, yes they do. Sing us a song, you're the singer. Oh, your voice will live on. Oh, you might be the last in line, but you will always shine. Why did they fear you? Those holy men in black. Oh, they blamed and accused you. They lied in the black. Come on, holy diver, go on and give them hell. Born a true survivor, you didn't need no wishing well. So long, Ronnie, thank you from us all. They will all welcome you in that great hallowed hall. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.